They were laughing around the pool, wearing designer clothes, sipping champagne, living like royalty in his house. The same people who told me I needed help. The same ones who packed my bags, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "It's for your own good." Now I stood at the gates, 2 years clean, and I realized they never wanted to save me. They just wanted everything he left behind. My name is Savannah, and 2 years ago, I lost everything. My husband, Darren, was the love of my life, charming, kind, and wildly successful. We married young. He built a luxury construction business from the ground up. We didn't need anything. We had each other. Until the night of the accident. A drunk driver, a wet road. And just like that, I was a 23-year-old widow. I moved back in with my parents. Just for a while, I told myself. My mother, June, welcomed me like I was still a teenager. My father stayed mostly quiet. My brother Caleb and sister Lily hovered too close. At first, I thought it was love. They said things like, "You don't need to be alone. Let us take care of you." I didn't realize they were already planning. Darren had left everything to me. The company, our house, our savings, even stocks and properties I didn't know about. The lawyers told me I could live comfortably for the rest of my life if I was smart. But I wasn't thinking about money. I was thinking about how to breathe without him. Still, my family offered to help. "We'll manage the bills, Savannah. Just focus on healing. The business stuff is overwhelming. Let Caleb talk to the accountants." I nodded. Grief made me vulnerable, and they knew it. Sleeping was hard, so Lily gave me something. "These helped me after my miscarriage," she said, handing me a bottle. Little white pills. Then came the ones for anxiety. Then the ones for your panic attacks. They made the silence softer. They made the pain blur. And every time I resisted, my mother said, "Don't be a martyr, Savannah. You need to heal." 3 months in, I could barely get out of bed without something to swallow first. Then came the intervention. "You need rehab," Caleb said, folding his arms. "We found a beautiful place," Lily added. "It's discreet. You'll feel better in no time. And we'll take care of everything while you're gone," my mother promised. "Trust us." I was tired, weak, numb. I packed my bags, kissed my dog goodbye, and left for the rehab center. As the doors locked behind me, I had no idea. They weren't trying to help me. They were clearing the path. Rehab was both a blessing and a prison. The first few weeks were hell. Headaches, cold sweats, nightmares. But after a while, the fog started to lift. I remembered who I used to be. And slowly, I began to realize how far I had fallen. I stayed in rehab longer than expected. Not because I needed to, but because I didn't know what I'd be going back to. My family visited twice. Both times felt forced. Rehab was both a blessing and a prison. The first few weeks were hell. Headaches, cold sweats, nightmares. But after a while, the fog started to lift. I remembered who I used to be. And slowly, I began to realize how far I had fallen. I stayed in rehab longer than expected. Not because I needed to, but because I didn't know what I'd be going back to. My family visited twice. Both times felt forced. They stopped answering my letters. Calls were always missed, or bad connection. One day, the therapist asked, "Do you trust your family?" I hesitated, and for the first time in my life, I said, "No, not anymore." 2 years later, I walked out of rehab with clear eyes and shaking hands. I took a cab to my old home, the one Darren and I built together. Only it didn't look like my home anymore. It was remodeled, flashier, louder. There were luxury cars in the driveway, brand new landscaping, a backyard pool that never used to be there. My mother answered the door, in silk pajamas, holding a glass of wine. "Savannah, you look so healthy." Inside, it was worse. They were throwing a party. Music, catered food, glowing lights strung across the patio. Lily laughed with a group of men in business suits. Caleb clinked glasses with someone I recognized from Darren's company. What is this? Oh, just a little gathering, my mom said. You know, celebrating life. You should try it. No one asked how I was. No one mentioned Darren. They acted like I'd never existed. Over the next week, I noticed everything had changed. Lily was driving a Mercedes. Caleb had moved into a downtown condo. My parents were talking about buying a vacation home in Napa. But when I asked to see the business accounts, the lawyer's reports, or even just my savings, I got vague answers. "Let's not stress you out so soon," Caleb said. "You're barely out of recovery," my mother whispered. "We don't want to trigger you." One night, I waited until everyone was asleep. I didn't scream. I didn't confront them. I copied every document, photographed every bank transfer, every forged signature, every company handoff. Then I called the one person I could still trust, Darren's former business partner, Mark. He answered on the second ring. "Savannah, I thought you okay? I need your help." Quietly. Mark met me in secret the next day. He looked heartbroken. "I didn't know what they were doing. Your brother said you were stepping back from everything, that it was too much for you." "And you believed him?" "You were in rehab. They said you approved every change." He handed me a folder. Inside, email threads from Caleb's fake company email, financial manipulation, and a contract to sell part of Darren's business to Lily's boyfriend. They were dismantling Darren's legacy, piece by piece, while I was locked away. I hired the best fraud lawyer in the state. We filed claims for identity theft, forgery, financial elder abuse, since they used my rehab status to claim I was mentally unfit. And we didn't stop there. We began pulling surveillance footage, therapist logs, and even pill bottle prescriptions traced to Lily's name. She'd refilled the anxiety medication under mine while I was in rehab. I played it cool at home, pretended to be grateful, quiet, fragile. They kept bragging in front of me about their vacations, their investments, their plans. My mother even said, "It's almost like Darren left it all for us." I smiled, took a sip of tea, and thought, you won't be smiling when the subpoenas arrive. The night before our court filings dropped, I staged one last scene. At dinner, I burst into tears. "I think I'm relapsing," I whispered. "I feel so unstable." My parents panicked. "You should go back," my mom said quickly. "Yeah," Caleb added. "Don't worry about the house or anything. We've got it." I nodded and quietly slid my phone under the table, recording everything, because tomorrow, they wouldn't be handling anything ever again. A morning after my staged breakdown, the front doorbell rang, and then again and again. My family groaned as they shuffled to the door, still in pajamas, confused by the cluster of suited strangers holding thick envelopes. "What is this?" my mom asked. "You've been served," one of the lawyers replied. "Subpoenas, civil suits, frozen assets, everything, all at once." They didn't even see me standing behind them, smiling. The court process was long, painful, public, but it was worth every second. The judge reviewed the documents. My therapist testified. So did Mark. I submitted recordings, emails, even handwriting analysis on the forged power of attorney. Lily turned pale. Caleb kept glancing at the exit. My mother clutched her pearls like the room was on fire. When it was my turn, I looked each of them in the eyes and said, "You didn't just steal money. You stole my grief. You turned my healing into a heist." The ruling? Everything they took, returned, plus damages, the properties, the stocks, the company shares, even the jewelry they sold off, bought back through legal restitution. Caleb was ordered to pay back business income he embezzled. Lily lost her nursing license due to the prescription fraud. My parents? They were evicted from my house. I didn't celebrate with champagne. I sat alone in the backyard, Darren and I once dreamed about building together. And I breathed. For the first time in years, I felt him with me. Not in the money, not in the house, but in the strength it took to fight. A few weeks later, I quietly sold the house, donated half the money to a rehab clinic for women who couldn't afford help. I kept just enough to start something new. My family, they moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. They call sometimes. I don't answer. They send letters. I never open them, because now they know I wasn't broken. I was healing, and I came back stronger than they ever imagined. They sent me to rehab, but I came home ready to reclaim everything they stole, and more.